what can you expect from us, and what do we expect from you as part of this process? So as soon as you do complete the product label approval, we will immediately be in contact. So a member of the international registrations team will be in contact with you, and you will get dedicated support from the point of starting your registration to completing your registration. You will have dedicated support from the team. We will be in contact with you via email, and in this uh, we will issue you with an instruction to start registration. So how we want to do this is by preparing you for sort of in-market preparation, by issuing a registration sort of starter pack. So as part of this starter pack, we will be providing you with a product information sheet. So what Hannah mentioned with regard to a sort of detailed breakdown of the product, to include the ingredient or qualitative ingredient list. We will be issuing you in this email the product label, so the one that you have just reviewed and approved. We will be issuing you with a quality declaration and accompanying quality certificate. And lastly, we'll be issuing you with a rationale, so a document to detail all the updates to the product. Within this email, we will confirm the date the product will be available to order in your market. So this is going to be a time point reference in terms of scheduling your registration, and ideally a point in which we want to have that registration complete. So what are we going to ask from you? Very key information really to help support the next stages in delivering the documents and getting the product to you. So we are going to request that you reply to this initial email where we're going to ask for your feedback. And as I say, this is important for defining the registration plan and setting the priorities. We are working to over 200 re-registrations to cover the A and the B formulas. So we need to you know, we're very dependent on getting your quality feedback at this stage. So what are we going to ask you? We're going to ask you to confirm all document requirements to complete the registration process in your market. We will include a form so you can detail this information. And my request to you is to be precise, is to be absolutely clear with your document needs. What we don't want to do, and it's not fair on you, if we need to rework documentation mid-process, it will cause delays. So we want to know when we start that piece of work, exactly what we need to provide you, what will work first time round. So in that feedback, if you can specify any technical requirements we need to meet, if you can specify any specific text that we need to include in the documents, if you can specify and confirm where we need to arrange legalizations, this will help us to help you. And it's at this point, it's in this reply to this initial email we will send out to you, that we want to get all of this right first time. So that is just the second stage, which I've just described. And then after we've got all the market feedback, we'll enter into the process of preparing and issuing the registration documents. So it's at the point that you have submitted and received the approval from your market authority that we're going to ask you for a very important kind of piece to move us to the next stage of the process or the project, is to get a copy of your approval certificate or a note of confirmation. And why is this important? Well, for us, it's a non-negotiable because it has a benefit and a value for the wider business. It's on receipt of your approval certificate, which you send through to us, is that we can then activate your market. So it's at the point then you can start to order the product from the date we will communicate to you. What we will do with this information is not only update our records, we move you from in progress to complete status. We will also connect in then with our operations side of the business to ensure that they can manage your, the switch over efficiently for your market. Okay, so look, very brief outline of how we're going to work with you. I'm pleased we've been working with you for a good length of time now. So look, you will get our commitment, you'll get our support. We are going to come to rely on you heavily as well in terms of getting back to us with that quality feedback. So yeah, that's the bit on the registrations. What I will move on to is just basically to sum up and recap the points raised by Hannah, the way of working around the approval of the recipe, the approval of the product label, which Jules explained, taking us through to registration. So they are three kind of key touch points on the critical path to getting that registration in place. And just to sort of visualize it, you will be contacted to complete the recipe review. This is a key point where we're going to need your support, and on getting that approval, we are locking that recipe in place. So we will not be able to move to the next stage until all markets have completed this action, this key action, and approved. Just to pick up on something that Hannah raised earlier, the recipes will be designed to fully comply with EU standard codex guidelines for FS&Ps. So there will be a follow-up question that we will be asking you as part of a distributor evaluation form, which will be sent following this meeting. So we again rely on you to give us some information on this point. Okay, so that recipe or the validation 3 is approved, it's locked. As Jules explained, we then move to product label. That is, again, another key step in the process, and we cannot move to registration until we get that product label approved. And then finally, as I mentioned, we get to the point of starting the registration in your market. So you are going to get the full support from the team on this. We do ask you to respond to the deadline set. The scope is quite large in so much as we will be supporting a number of markets at one time. So yeah, in anticipation of that support, we thank you. Okay, last point. We will introduce this project to you. So before we get to recipe, before we get to product label, and then on to registration, there will be an initial communication setting out the project, the goals we're setting ourselves, and importantly, an outline of the key actions. So basically, as Jules and as Hannah presented, with the contact names and expected dates that you'll be contacted. So that will be a bit of your bit of a crib sheet for you to refer to as I say, to introduce how we will manage this this project. Okay, that's it, and I believe I'm going to hand over to Ria.
Thanks, Kurt. So the product updates for the Capacitacion inborn errors range will begin in around January 2025, allowing us to make sure that everything is in place for you and your markets prior to the launches. So Kurt's taken you through the key touch points where he would need your input. You will be pleased to know, though, that all of the changes won't be happening all at once. So the updates to the A formula range will happen first, and then we'll update the B formulas following the completion of the A formulas. So we've focused this session on the Capacitacion inborn errors in quite a bit of detail, but at Vitaflo, as Nikki alluded to earlier, we have taken the opportunity to review the other ranges we've acquired from the acquisition. So here we've mapped out the timelines which span over the next 4 years. As you can appreciate, renovating and updating products can be quite a lengthy process, and we're focusing on these product developments throughout this year. So the products which we prioritised for 2023 include the products I've discussed with you today, for the A formulas and the B formulas across the 8 inborn errors of metabolism. But we've also had a focus on our Capacitacion cow's milk allergy range to develop these recipes further to maximise on palatability, and also the planned move to the new production facility, focusing our manufacturing time at Rosbach on the protein substitutes. Also this year and moving into next year, we'll be updating our Mavalia GMP range called GM Power, which we believe will be a great future offering for your markets. In 2024, we will then move our focus to the concentrated protein substitutes and also PKU-C formula. Following each of the recipe development stages, we can then be in a position to carry out our next key phase, which is industrialisation, which Karen and Hannah have already covered. Throughout these steps, we're making sure that we're developing and producing the highest quality product for you and your patients prior to the final stage, which is when we will then help to plan and support you, as Kurt mentioned, to launching those products in your market. As you can see, following the launch of the Capacitacion range and A formulas in 2024, we plan to have the B formula range and GM Power products available for you in 2025. The final steps for the Capacitamed concentrated products, the PKU, MSUD, PKU-C formula products are likely to be available in 2026. We've spaced them out to help manage the registrations in market and to give you the time to prepare. We hope that we've given you enough prior notice to help us work together to launch these products successfully within your markets. So we focused a lot on what's changing, but we're not changing everything. We will still continue to produce the protein substitutes range in our factory in Germany, which is owned and managed by Vitaflo. With our combined Capacitamed and Vitaflo experience of over 25 years supplying products for inborn errors of metabolism across the world, you will still continue to benefit from our experience every step of the way. And you have from all of us at Vitaflo our ongoing commitment to provide you with the highest product quality, excellent service and reliability. And I will now hand over to Lee, who will share with you our plans for sustainability. Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Ria. Okay, so there's obviously a lot happening to help build a solid portfolio for the future. There is actually another project ongoing in the business, also looking at our future, and it's called Project Everest. It's a global initiative, and it's to make our impact on the planet more positive and sustainable. So I just want to share a really short video with you just to kind of give you a bit of a snapshot of what Project Everest is about. So fingers crossed this works. Okay, so this commitment was obviously set out long prior to us acquiring the Comida Med and Lavalia brands, but it is one that we're aiming to achieve for all these brands in the future. So what we are going to do is share the sustainability claims that we're able to make in relation to all of the brands before we launch the updated formulation. So you'll have clarity on what you can communicate out in market, and we'll also make sure they form part of your support literature as well for each of the products. So I know that's not a lot of detail at the moment, but it just gives you a little bit of a snapshot in terms of what we are working to for our sustainability commitment globally from Vitaflo across all of our brands that we operate under. So just before we move into the break, we've already had some questions come through on the chat. Please keep those coming in. As I said, we're going to collate them all, and everyone will be receiving a question and answer document following the meeting to make sure you have all of the specific information that you need. We're going to go into a break now. Because we're running a little bit ahead of schedule, we're going to have a slightly longer break than we initially planned. So please go away, grab a drink, a comfort break, and we're going to regroup at 2:20 UK time. So please, stay on the line, just keep yourselves muted and cameras off, and we will come back at 2:20. So we will see you shortly. Welcome back, everyone. I'm hoping you can hear me okay and you can still see the slide on screen. Just a reminder for those who haven't already seen, but this is what we are going to be covering from now until the end of the meeting today. So shortly, I'm going to hand over to Alexander, who I will introduce in a second. Ria and I are going to go over some marketing resources that are going to be available for you in preparation for these new products launching. And then we have a number of our functions coming together this afternoon just to touch on the things that they are working on to help support you and your businesses in your market. So as I mentioned, I'm going to hand over to Alexander Lidmeyer. Alexander is Commercial Director of the prescription business at Navamedic, and we have a long-standing relationship with Navamedic as our distributing partner in Scandinavia. Alexander's going to take us through his experience of working with us and navigating all the changes that have happened along the way. So thanks for joining. Alexander, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you, Lee. I hope you can hear me all right. First of all, I want to thank Vitaflo for inviting me to this meeting, and good to see so many other distributors out there. Like Lee said here, I will walk you through our collaboration that we have had for some years now, and the different initiatives that we have been taking to increase the market and how our collaboration have worked during the years. So I will start to take control here, if that's possible. Yeah. So I hope you can all see the presentation now.
Clearly, thank you.
Short information about us as a company. As Lee mentioned, we are a distributor for other partners the globe, and we are working in 4 different areas. We are working in consumer health, medical nutrition, specialty pharma, and branded generics. And our presence is mainly here in the Nordics. Our head office is in Oslo, here in Norway, and we have offices also in Sweden. But we also have collaboration with partners in Benelux, and the Baltics, and Greece. So we are what you can say a one-stop shop when it comes to partnership. We have all the regulatory competence that's needed for different reimbursement issues. We have also all the relevant people for marketing and sales. So right now we are over 35. I think we are plus 40 right now, employees in the companies. And we have an ambitious strategy. Of course, it's a growth strategy based on mergers and acquisition, but we are also it's very important to have organic growth and to grow with products like the Vitaflo range, and to even increase the Vitaflo business that we have in the Nordics. It's a crucial business for us as a company. So it's actually started already back in 1999. When the agreement was set between Vitaflo International and Vitaflo Scandinavia, as we were called back then. And the reason why it started was that I think that Vitaflo International and the former owners of Vitaflo Scandinavia were friends, and they saw the opportunity to do this together, to call the company or use the same name to get synergies here in Europe. So they signed the contract for the Nordic market, and back then we also had the Benelux area. I went back to all the registration processes that we had, and I started in the company in 2010. I started working with Vitaflo in 2010, but actually the first registration that we did was back in 2001, where we registered PKU gel in the Swedish market. So that was a very important step for us, and PKU gel became a very important product for the PKU patients. Then in 2007, the company Vitaflo Scandinavia was sold to a Norwegian company called Navamedic. But we continued to have Vitaflo Scandinavia and Navamedic as 2 separate companies. So Vitaflo Scandinavia was the sales and marketing part of Navamedic. Then something happened in 2010. So that's Nestlé acquired Vitaflo International. And And I think for us, the transitions was very smooth. Of course, as a distributor, you always think what will happen now, and how will this affect us? And I mean, it's a change of control, etc. But it went very smooth. But we also decided quite soon that we should terminate the company name Vitaflo Scandinavia. Just don't get any confusion between Vitaflo Scandinavia and then Nestlé owned Vitaflo International. So then you can say our company name merged, so we became Navamedic, and they registered the name Vitaflo Scandinavia. So, and it's 2023 right now, so we had actually right now 24 years of collaboration with Vitaflo International. So it has been a long and fantastic journey. If you have any questions, just feel free to comment. So I just want to say that we have a number of different partners, but I can honestly say that it's not easy to find a good partner as Vitaflo International has been for us, and so helpful. We have always had 100% support from Vitaflo International, and of course it's been some discussions now and then, but I would say that it has worked really good. So what we have done here in the Nordics in joint venture with Vitaflo International, it's the Nordic Dietitians Meeting, for example, that we started in 2011. We saw that there was a need for a specific dietitian meeting for the dietitians working in the metabolic area. We knew and we saw that Nutritia had one for all healthcare professionals, even included doctors, but it was no specific meetings for the dietitians. And the dietitians here, they were really keen to have a dietitians meeting. So we started that one in 2011 and have done this since then. And we have this every other year in the Nordic area. And we invite all the dietitians working within this area. And we have I think we have an approximately 90% response rate on that meeting, and it's very popular. And here Vitaflo helped us with different speakers, for example. It's not I mean, it's a really good HCPs working here in the Nordics, but many of the true key KOLs, they are working, for example, in the UK or in the US and Germany, etc. So they all helped us to set the program, to invite the speakers, to make sure that we have a good program that the dietitians like. Another thing that has been crucial for our business is also the cooking workshops and the chef's training, as you can see here. Here is our in the middle there. It's Frederick. He is the one working with this area and out visiting customers, arranging workshops, etc. is really crucial for our business. And here is also we have very good help from Vitaflo when it comes to, I mean, inviting Chef Neil, for example, with his expertise. And Chef Neil has a very good, is very is a big influencer, so to speak, in the Nordic area. So most of the patients and the relatives know Chef Neil. We have also done different kind of exhibitions, for example, to dietitians, but also exhibitions in the cooking events that we have had. Materials and websites is also a thing that we have collaborate on. Here is an example of the Vita Friends, the Swedish Vita Friends page that we have worked together with Vitaflo on. We also have a Facebook site, so they have been really helpful to build this site. Of course, we are looking at what they're doing in the UK, for example, and also in other parts of Europe to see, can we do anything similar here? And also, I mean, in meetings like this, or in the international business meeting, where we can share experience and best practice, it has been extremely helpful for a company like us to see what else can we do. If it's something that we haven't thought of right now, and to get other new ideas. And of course, this has helped us when it comes to the sales, of course. I mean, we started with approximately 1.5 million euros when I started the business, and we are up to approximately 5.5 million euros right now. and it's and I'm quite sure that we haven't reached this point if we haven't this collaboration in this area. It's a small, as you know, it's a small area, so you need to discuss with distributors and also with the partner. As I mentioned, we have approximately 12 different partners for different product lines that we have, but Vitaflo is classified as our top partner. They always, or what is important here for us, because we used to be a very small company, now we're getting a little bit bigger, but the importance of having a customer first focus has been crucial for our business. I mean, when it's coming new patients to the clinic, they need to have, for example, samples and other things. And also when something happens, if they can't get the delivery in time, they know that they can come to Navamedic and we will help them in the next 24 hours. But that is not all. This is not only because of us. Of course, we need this help from our partner as well, and we have that help. And we know that, I mean, for example, the customer support services that we had with before there and now as well with Kevin, the team has been really good, because also to get the products in time out to the customers. We have, I mean, storage for us can be a real challenge, because we have a small warehouse and we have products for that it's only used by one patient or two patients, and I mean, if they change flavor, there is no one else to take the other flavor that we have in stock, and then we need to discuss with Vitaflo how to do and if they can ship really fast and help us with that. The challenges that we have met during this year is mainly one of the things is the KOLs, to get them up and running, to inform them about the latest news and things like that. And here has been very helpful to have this, for example, the via webinars, the via page with webinars that they can get the latest updates. But also when it comes to, I mean, the KOL development, setting up these renal meetings in the UK, for example, and our dietitians have the chance to travel abroad to these meetings. This is very popular for our dietitians and also doctors. And also, I mean, one challenge is that it's quite strictly if we can have direct to patient contact here in the Nordics. And with these cooking events and other things, it makes this possible. So we can have this patients or direct contact with patients. And this is very important for us to promote our low protein products, but also not only the low pro, but also the amino acids. That's actually our only chance to promote them directly to the patients. So I'm really interested in the Comida Med Mevalia brand as well, because low protein food is very important for us, and we don't have that big portfolio right now. I mean, we have Fate products, we have Pro Zero, some other products, but it's when you're looking at these our Facebook groups with patients, but also in our own website, for example, Vita Friends. I mean, 90% of the discussions there about recipes, about low protein foods. Where do we find them? Can you help us to find them? And it's not that easy. So we have been discussing for quite a long time now that we need more low pro products, and I think the Comida Med Mevalia range will help us to build an even stronger portfolio. And then it comes to infant formulas that we're also missing. We don't have any infant formulas except the PKU Start right now, and I mean, the brand loyalty is quite high. So if they start with our brands, they will most probably stay on the brands as well. And then we also have more to offer to our wholesalers. I mean, the wholesalers can buy more products from the same partner, and that is very important because many of the wholesalers right now, they are buying from different sites in Europe, and so they are also really interesting in this range. Then it's also possible for some of the products to gain reimbursement here in the Nordics. For example, like we have Pro Zero, Fate Meal, etc. You can get it reimbursed in Sweden. So that's also a good opportunity for the Mevalia Comida Med brand to get reimbursed. And we also know that some canned products, when we have looked at the market, some canned products can fit the Finnish market better than the range that we have right now. If we can get the price level down a bit, because the Finnish market is much more price sensitive than the other Nordic markets. That is totally sure. So that was really fast and quick about our collaboration with Vitaflo, and yeah, here's the Navamedic team, and I wanna thank you all for listening, and wish you all the best of luck in your businesses as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexander. I really appreciate you joining this afternoon. I know you're really busy. I hope that just gives you a little bit of an insight into the journey we've kind of been on with one of our more long-standing partners throughout a lot of changes over the years. We are going to move on to the next section, if that's okay with everyone. So Ria and I are going to talk a little bit now about some of the package of support that we're going to be looking to introduce to support these products long term in your market. So we want to just give you a little bit of detail about them. So first of all, Vitaflo, I think many of you will know, hold study days, symposiums, webinars, training workshops, patient education days, cookery demos, and we've been renowned for having that focus on kind of external education for a long time. But like everything, you know, the best things start at home, and we've always had a really strong commitment to training internally. So we have a program to transfer knowledge across the business that we want to introduce to you as we move to roll out all of the updated products. So you will have already, if you accepted the invite, have received access to our e-learning platform, which has already been touched on a little bit earlier on. So the aim of this basically is to give just a really solid base of knowledge around the conditions that we do produce products for. And generally, we like this to be delivered to our teams before then we go on to more specific product type training. Now, I appreciate that many of you will be familiar with these products. You'll have been using them for a long time in your markets. But I suppose with the changes that are going to happen over the next couple of years, we kind of want to start from scratch, give you an open invite to join these product training sessions as they're rolled out to prepare you for the endgame formulation launches. So the product training basically details changes and communications that will need to go to customers, and that includes your healthcare professionals. And we try and use these sessions to really provide you the detail of the features, our position on the evidence of whether we've included or excluded specific nutrients. We use these as well as opportunities to walk you through some of the toolkit components as well that will be available to support your in-market efforts. And the aim of this is essentially to give you and your teams complete confidence in the updates that we're making and to help you manage the transitions as smoothly as possible in your markets. So just a little bit about the toolkits that you'll probably hear a lot about as we go forward over the next year or so. So I'm going to walk you through a few of the things in the pipeline for you to utilise going forward. Now, we recognise that you will probably be aware we're a little bit thin on the ground of some materials to support the products, but we are trying to address that. And this is just some of the initial ideas that we have going forward. So we know there's obviously many opportunities where you may need to present the range in its entirety to a number of different stakeholders. So we have a temporary range brochure coming through to support this, and also a corporate deck to introduce the range as well. So it is temporary. Of course, we'll update it and add further formulation and specific feature details as we get to the end game, but at least you'll have something which you can utilise now for when the opportunities arise. Then moving on to kind of more product support resources. So we have some core product specific tools which, based on just some initial conversations we've had so far, we think will be useful at a practical level for your customers. So these include data cards, frequently asked questions documents, preparation guidelines, and then some more kind of specific clinical resources to help at a healthcare professional level, which I'll talk you through in a little bit more detail in a second. They are not probably your typical advertising and promotional type of collateral that you may have been used to, but I think many of you who've worked in the metabolics field for a number of years will recognise that metabolic patients can be quite demanding on dietitians' time. And we believe that providing support beyond that of the product can really be an advantage, whether it's to help, your sales teams get a foot in the door if that's available, whether it's to drive preference to our products where there is choice, or if it's to elevate the way in which we're perceived as providers of canned formulas in this space. So to start with, I'm just going to go through some of the things we have. So we have preparation guidelines, which many of you will already be familiar with. For those who aren't, they're available for A and B formulas across all 8 of the conditions. These are essentially pictorial guides, and they can be used down at a patient level, and they're designed to deliver instructions on how to easily prepare our products both accurately and safely as well. They do include a reference table, so you can easily see the number of scoops to water that you need to give a specific protein amount, so very useful. And the back of them are completely blank. So healthcare professionals can write more detailed regimens on the back, hand them to the patients and families so that they've got something to follow at home specific to the product that they've been prescribed. The second thing I want to mention is practical guides. So I believe that there's probably a number of markets where competitors will provide clinical protocols for their products. Now, Vitaflo has developed support guides for its product that take elements of this protocol approach, but bring in a practical angle to support dietitians, regardless of how much experience they have in metabolics or even in using these products. And the aim is that they can introduce these products successfully as easily as possible. So for the A formula, for example, practical guide example, they detail the key objectives of infant feeding, and they include detailed feeding plans for infants, whether they're either breast or bottle fed. And where these practical guides, I think, have really stood apart from other similar things you might have seen competitors produce, is that they provide really hands-on practical tips on how healthcare professionals can support the patients and their families, as well as troubleshooting in terms of manage elevated amino acid levels. And now these guides, or this particular guide, the A formula guide, was written in conjunction with a dietitian called Suzanne Hollander. She's an experienced metabolic dietitian based out of the US, and what she's going to do to support this is create a short demo training video which details the content of these guides and where they're really useful to be used in your market. So at the moment, we have got the A formula guide complete for PKU, and there's going to be a training video recorded over the next month or so. So that will be the first one we can share with you. And then we'll produce a schedule of when the others will be produced over the coming months, so you can see when they'll be available as well for you. The next two tools I just want to touch on are designed essentially to make the dietitian's job as easy as possible. So the first here on the left-hand side, which we've referred to as a Ready Reckoner, and the aim of this is for support in the transition from one product to another. So what it does, it allows a dietitian to see very quickly how much of one product is equivalent to another. So it removes the need for them to do any manual calculation in relation to this. And it's particularly relevant if you are switching from concentrates to formula, for example. But it could be expanded. So if you have specific challenges in market, what we can do is look at the competitors that are available there and tailor this so it's a competitor versus our own products, to be able to demonstrate quick reference guides for switching from competitor products to our own product range. Secondly, so just to the right hand side here is a transition calculator to support in this example, switching from A to B formula. So this is quite useful where, particularly in some of the rarer conditions where they may need to do a more gradual transition to minimize any impact on metabolic control in the patients. So this is auto-populated with our product information, but there is an element which allows manual input. So a dietitian, if they want to, could input competitor product information, and it can help show how they transition to our beef formula from competitor product. So what we are committed to do is have a detailed schedule of when we'll have these resources available for you and the toolkits over the coming months, so you know when they'll be available for you in preparation for the new product launches. I'm going to hand over to Ria in a second. She's going to walk you through our plans to make accessing these resources a little easier, because we do recognise at the moment accessing some of these can be a little tricky, so we want to try and overcome that if we can.
Thanks, Lee. So as part of the rebrand I spoke about earlier, we want to support you in the market with all the materials that Lee's just spoken about. As the brand is getting a whole new look, we also want to take the opportunity to update the current ComediMed.com website. Currently, the website offers some basic information about the disorders ComediMed supports across both the inborn errors of metabolism and also the Comedogen for the cow's milk allergy profile. We plan to make the website an invaluable resource to you, one which hosts all the latest versions of materials that you'll need in your market. So the design agency we've been working with, we'll continue to work with them to look at the website to give it a fresh new look, which will be in line with the new branding. It will contain supporting information, as it does currently, for inborn errors of metabolism and also the hypoallergenic range. But on the main website, which will be available to anyone to access freely, there will be pages on each of the disorders and supporting products available for them. The type of information you might expect to see on these pages will be disease-specific background and information relating to the disorder. There will be product information, including the nutritional profile and preparation instructions. And the flow and feel of the website will be easy to navigate and provide product users with support information across the range. There will, however, be one significant update to the website. And those of you with eagle eyes at the top of the right-hand side will have a distributor login area. You'll be provided with login details from your commercial operations executive once the website goes live. So let's have a look at how this new login area will look. So we've planned the website to be very user-friendly and to offer you the support material which we feel will enhance your experience using the ComediMed portfolio. So once you're logged in, you'll be able to select the product disease area, and by doing so, it will offer you a menu to access support materials. So here we'll have the data cards for that disease area available. We'll have patient resources section where you can download resources to support your patients, from preparation guidelines Lee's spoken about for the product to product patient journals where they can what they've consumed that day. Also, if you have Movalia low protein in the market, we'll have low protein recipes and videos available. We believe by storing all of this relevant information together and all the materials together would be beneficial. We've also included an area that supports you with healthcare professional resources, including the practical guides Lee spoke about. There will also be further support training videos, which will be available on the page, including videos on how to support the practical use of the practical guides. We understand as well that many of you like to create your own materials in market, so we'll have an area where you can download the latest brand assets, including logos and pack shots. You will always have the latest and most up-to-date branding support available to you at the click of a button. And then finally, we'll have an area where you'll be able to access the latest clinical papers to support the disease area of interest, and these will be maintained and updated as new papers become available. So delving a bit deeper into one of the sections, you can see from the illustration, here we have the HCP supporting tools, such as the transition calculator Lee spoke about. So this can really help healthcare professionals transition patients to Comeda B formula. This will allow for accurate feeding regimes to be calculated easily. It will not only be compatible with Comeda PKU-A formula, but it will also allow the user to compare against other products available in your market. The resources we're developing, such as this, are designed to save time for healthcare professionals and for yourselves and provide a simple way for you to share the resources with those who require it. We plan for the website to go live in the second half of next year, ahead of the planned changes to the range, so that you'll have the materials you will need available all in one place. We can, of course, support you prior to this planned launch with the materials if you require them sooner. But we hope that you will find this distributor area and the updated website as a whole an invaluable resource. So we hope that you will find all of the updates and investments into the Capacitacion range a positive and an encouraging opportunity for growth and support in your markets. We really appreciate that we've shared a lot with you today, and there'll be a lot to digest and a lot to think about following today's talks. We do, however, want to continually improve and support you as best as we can in your markets. So what we ask of you is that you share on a continual basis the sort of common questions that you are asked in the market. What is important to your healthcare professionals and buyers, and what can we here at Vitaflo do to support those needs? Equally, we want to know and understand what objections you come across from those you come into contact with the Capacitacion portfolio. We understand that there's a number of different touch points and everyone will have different wants and needs. So please share those objections with us and we'll strive to support you to overcome them. As you'll have seen across the course of today, we're investing and improving in our product range, our factory, our people and our resources. So we want to stay as competitive as possible to you and for you. And as you are central in your markets and you have the relationships and the knowledge that can help shape what we can do to support you. So with this in mind, we would like to also ask of you that you share any competitor information with your commercial operations exec. What's happening in your market, maybe local initiatives and opportunities that we may be unaware of, and we would like to know how they are impacting on you and your healthcare professionals. Is there something that is an opportunity for us to replicate to support you, but equally, are there any changes happening that have caused you concern? We want to be able to support you as best we can in all those situations. Finally, it would be really useful for us to know, ideally, with as much notice as possible, if there are any tender specification changes, if there are new requirements from tenders or intelligence, to understand any ways in which we can support you to be successful in your upcoming tenders. As Lee mentioned, following today's meeting, we will be sending out a questionnaire, which we will greatly appreciate if you could complete this and send it back to us with any insights that you might have. But please don't think this is your only opportunity to feed back to us. Share throughout the weeks, the months, the years, any intelligence you receive that can be beneficial for us to help you. Thank you very much for your time today, and I will now pass back to Nikki, who will open the business opportunity section of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ria. So I hope everyone can hear me okay. So Max and I are going to start with the business operations section, starting with commercial ops, and then we'll move across to Steve, who will talk to you about supply chain. Then we'll move over to quality colleagues, and finally we'll end with legal. Okay, so for this first section, we just want to focus on tenders, bids, pricing and forecasts. So here, we just wanted to emphasise, obviously, we're working in the commercial operations team. You have dedicated commercial ops contacts who we've been having regular calls with. And we wanted to really highlight here that for any new tenders, significant tenders for new products and new product launches for your market, we need to obviously link in with commercial ops for a commercial review. And the reason we do that with other long-standing Vitaflo distributors. So should we launch a new product, we always do a business case assessment. We complete our own internal LAD document, which is a launch approval document. And also it will give us the opportunity for us to flag to you if there's any potential delists for products you're considering for a tender, or if any of the products are due to be renovated or some minor changes happen to that. Also at that time, what we'll do is we'll link in with supply chain, forecasting, as we've mentioned already, and supply chain to see if there's any excess stock available, you know, should you have an immediate requirement, but also to make sure that we plan effectively to support that new tender going forward. A part of the commercial review is really looking at, you know, the return on investment. Is this, you know, business new tender opportunity justified for the amount of work that's required for the registration colleagues, any legal contracts? You know, does this really make viable sense to both parties? So we then link in with our registration team, so headed by Kurt, and we will obviously approve that we can go to the registration stage, and also we would assign a priority for our registration team should they need it, if they have multiple things at that time. Additionally, our team will link in with legal support for contracts. I know many of you operate under a standard distribution contract. That's perfectly fine. We don't need to amend that. But for some markets, as you go in for specific tenders, you need specific bespoke tender contracts or documents. So we can obviously link in with our legal team to support that accordingly. On the right-hand side here, I've just put one note of caution, and I think, you know, as we've discussed and as you've seen throughout today's presentation, we have a lot of initiatives in place to try and compete with the escalating costs we are seeing with raw materials, and everyone's seeing at a global level. As many of you know, we've had to increase our prices with you, and that will be something, as per the contracts, will be an annual price review. Therefore, if you have a significant tender for a long period of time, please be sure to link in with us and make sure what price will be applicable at that time. At the end of the day, we want the distributors to ensure that they get the right return on their own investment as well, that you make the right margin that you need in market. So working together, we can obviously support this opportunity in your market, and hopefully together we'll achieve more. Okay, so I will now hand over to Max, who will take you through the forecasting.
Thank you, Nikki. So as Nikki's just said, we're just going to touch on to the forecasting and how actually the forecasting can deliver and leverage opportunities. Now, as some of you are already aware, some of the tender market forecasting can be very challenging. In some circumstances, we have to rely on the MOH and hospital input. Some orders issued are based on consumption in the market, and some tender announcements can have excessive quantities that sometimes can't be actualized. And tenders can change and can be cut short and extended. And obviously, we can have circumstances where we have competitor out of stocks, and obviously we have to adapt and change to those. So if we can improve on our forecasting and become more accurate and get to a point where we can have a decent proportion of the business that are forecasted, this can allow for greater agility and give us the ability to then grasp these new opportunities that are coming in. So some of the reasons why we want to improve on forecasting and the benefits of forecasts, it allows us to be able to agree on RM supplies, contracts and pricing on the raw materials, and this then therefore allows us to still be competitive in the market and into the tenders and other situations. Another advantage is that it gives us the ability to improve on our long-term planning for capacity in our factories like Rossbach, and also plan for resources such as people, etc. And it allows us to ensure that our labels and supporting materials are available at the right time for when those orders are coming in and the tenders are applicable. And then I just wanted to highlight as well that the forecasts that we are working on and can be provided are not an order and still will still be required. So just to highlight that fact. So Overall, the forecasting and improved accuracy of forecasting will help us increase customer satisfaction, so that benefits both parties, and it will help us increase the ability to provide deliveries on time, so there's no waiting around for raw materials to come in, as we've already pre-planned for that, and we have that built into our systems. And overall, as we spoke about earlier as well, with the factory shutdown and investment within Rossbach, it allows us to really plan ahead of time and make sure we've got the ability to work with yourselves on the tenders that are coming in and other orders that are coming in, that we've got that stock available and products available ready for you. So that's a little bit more in detail about the forecasting. I'm just going to move on to the next slide, just to highlight the commercial operations team and some of the key contacts in the commercial operations team. So obviously myself, Kev Thomas, headed up with Pablo and Nikki, and then a couple of the secondments that we have on board at the time, Lee, who's obviously running the session today, with Tom Barker's clinical expertise as well, assisting with the commercial operations team. We also have Mark Villa-Smith, who you may have worked with in the past, who is now currently on a secondment at Nestle, but should be coming back to us soon. So you will be seeing Mark in the future. And that's an overview of the commercial operations team. So if you have any opportunities that are coming in, or you have any more information that you want to speak to us about, please reach out to your commercial operations representation of your market. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm just going to pass over to Steve Sumner, who's going to speak more about supply chain.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stephen Sumner. I'm the supply chain manager, responsible for all our supply chain related activities at Vitaflo International. Over the next few minutes, I'll just give you a sort of a top level introduction to supply chain and the team and some ways of working. So based in Liverpool, we actually have quite a large supply chain team. We have a team based of 45 people. But I'll just talk about really the people that are be involved within the sort of Communimed and Mavalia. So within our supply planning, we have a team of 6 team members, and they're basically responsible for scheduling the production. And we have this across a network of 18 co-manufacturers, where we have the Rossbach site we buy and manufacture ourselves, but we also have 18 co-manufacturers we actually produce our products with. Within this Communimed and Mavalia, we have 2 team members working on these products. Neil Roach, who is our supply manager, and he's responsible for supply planning, but also your customer service. And we have Sam, who's a supply planner, and Sam's basically responsible for liaising with Rossbach factory and the co-manufacturers relating to the Mavalia brands and managing stock levels. Working with the forecast that we mentioned on the previous slide, which is really important. This is how Sam works out the stocks. We have the stock available for yourselves. Customer service team, we have 9 team members looking after the whole Vitaflo portfolio, servicing basically globally from this office here in Liverpool. We have 4 team members that are working in the Communimed and Mavalia side of the business. Carl Gargan, who's our customer service manager, who's been with the business now for, I think, 15 years this year, so has a lot of experience and knowledge with these products and the ways of working. Diane as well is also over 15, I think 17 years. Diane's been with us, a lot of experience in managing a lot of the export side of the business, so understands the whole process. Pauline and Emma at the bottom, they joined us 2 years ago, and they've come on board to support the Communimed and Mavalia expansion as we did the acquisition. So that's the sort of the mainly day-to-day team that you may come across as any inquiries or you're placing your orders. And we also have Seth. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of Seth in this slide, but Seth is our import and export compliance manager, and he basically supports our internal team, but also our external teams and also our customers with any import and export compliance. So any help or support you need on exporting and doing the paperwork documentation, we can support that internally from here as well. So just want to talk about some ways of working, really, how we can better service yourself. Max mentioned before that the forecast is really key for this process to work. So as long as we have a rolling forecast, we use that forecast, as was mentioned, to order our raw materials and packaging. Some of our raw materials, they can have a 4 and 5 month lead time. So we have to make sure we're buying and we have raw materials in place ahead of the production of your orders coming into place. So just some of the best practices, and I'll go through the process of how we work. So ordering really to the agreed lead time. So ComediMed, we work on an 8 to 10 week lead time. And that's possible if we've got the forecast and we've got the raw materials in place, and that's what's made in the Rossbach factory. Mavalia, the low protein, we have a longer lead time, but this is because it's manufactured through a network of co-manufacturers and they have additional lead times, and we obviously have to bring that into our supply chain network to be able to supply you. So just to talk through some of the processes and understand how our production scheduling works. So if we receive your order today, we class that as 0. But before we can start the process, we must have your purchase order, because until we have a purchase order, we're not able to enter the order on the system. So once we have the purchase order, we'll enter the order into the system. Then the week 1, 2, and 3, they are blocked. They are production weeks that are blocked in the plan at Rossbach, and this is the production that's already been firmly planned and enables us to produce orders that we've received in the past. We normally have weeks 4, 5, and 6, where if your orders just come in, we will try and this is where we would aim to put your order into the production plan within one of those weeks, 4, 5, or 6. And then hopefully by the end of week 6, the plan is to have your product made ready, and then it will go on test. And then it normally takes 2 weeks from the manufacturer to send the samples away for testing. It's normally a 2-week turnaround by the time we get the results. So week 7 and 8 is where the products sit on quality release. And by the end of week 8, everything should be clear and released. And then week 9, your product will be ready for collection. Between week 9 and sometimes week 10, we have to get documentation and for yourselves, ex-works, to arrange a transport to come and collect. So just some factors that may change this and make it a bit more difficult to stick to that lead time. One, if we don't get a forecast, that makes it more difficult. If your order is significantly higher than what was forecasted, or there's a need to do additional stickering or labelling, that can also slow the process down and take us away from the standard lead times that we aim to work to. Just some other areas where within the factory, we do try to accommodate everybody's order and the requirements they need. But a sort of MOQ in a 400-gram can, a 400-gram can is 250 cans, and a 500-gram can is 200 cans. They're not the ideal sizes we want to work to, but these are sort of minimum MOQs that we can work to for the factory to produce. Just some other ways we can improve. A lot of people will be ordering products just by a description. We'd like to put in place, like we do with a lot of our other customers, is we have an order template, and this order template would have the order by SKU code and description. This is something that we can set up, and we can supply this with all your codes, with our code, your actual code. And the reason we try to use this document is it reduces the risk of somebody entering the wrong code and producing the wrong product. So it takes away some of the manual or human error that can happen when we're not actually ordering by SKU codes. Just some other ways we can try and improve and sort of be more efficient and to reduce damages is order by full pallets. But if that's not possible, because we know some of these volumes are small, is where possible if we can order by layers. So at least we're sending you even level layers, and they're not sort of less chance of damage or any sort of spillage on top of the pallets. It also makes us a bit more efficient when we're trying to fill a pallet and fill a truck to save additional transport. And just one is collection. We ask that people collect within a reasonable time of the product being made. To try and stick to the time frame, all of this work is ex-works. Obviously, it's yourselves who's arranging the transport and the adequate insurance. And just with some of the transport, because once it leaves, it's out of our control, we need to try and stop any hauliers or anybody collecting as it's being transported through the system from double stacking. We do sometimes receive complaints of double stacking. So this is something we need to try and, with your help, is talking to your transport people to make sure they understand that they can't double stack these products. And this final slide really is just to give you a bit of a picture of our distribution centres. Our original distribution centre is based in the UK in Liverpool. Up to recently, everything was received and dispatched from this one warehouse, but over the years we've expanded. As Vitaflo, we introduced another warehouse in South Germany called Ansorg Logistics, and they distribute most of the Vitaflo international products, and they also do some of the Mavalia SKUs as well. The Rossbach factory is based near Frankfurt, more north of Germany, and this is where all the Comedimed powders are stored and dispatched from. And this is the sort of the general sort of collection points for yourselves for all the tinned and powder products. Hopefully that's give you a bit of an insight and some ways of working where we can improve going forward. Okay, thank you. And if you have any questions, please put it in the chat or we can catch up at a later date.
Hi everyone, so I'm Lucy, I'm the Quality Systems Manager at Liverpool, and we're just going to go through some customer complaint of how we manage the process and why it's important to us that we get the information from you in a timely manner with as much information as possible. Norman will be joining me to go through some slides that Irene has put together from the Rossbach factory. So just the first slide is just to show how important complaints is to us. It can take us years to build that trust for the customer about our products and brands, but that can be destroyed quite quickly through a complaint. So we want to make sure that the customers can eat. This picture shows through the Nestlé trust through their eyes closed because we've got our eyes open to make sure the quality and food safety of the product is there. So looking at what a customer complaint is, we split it into 3 different categories. Firstly, we have the quality complaints. These we look at our sensory, so that anything different in taste, texture, colour or smell of the powdered product itself or the Movalia low protein products. Foreign bodies, so if there's something, an object of some sort, however big or small, is in the product that shouldn't be there, we want to investigate that to find out where it's come from, make sure we don't have any problems on our production line that could go on to have further impact or potential recall or anything impact on the customer. Product performance, so if it doesn't perform as expected, if there's a stability problem or doesn't mix with water as it should do. Any tampering of the product when it's received by the customer, any weight volume issues, so if there's not enough quantity in there as it should be, or if there's a leak in a split packaging where the product is coming out because there's not correct seals on them. And then any labelling or coding issues that we may have on the can itself. This list is not a full list, there may be more different types, but there's just some examples of the quality complaints we see that we would investigate on a quality point of view. We then also have logistics complaints, which are damages, missing product or wrong product received on delivery. And then we have adverse events, which are quite a lot more serious in that they could be harmful to the patient if they're made ill, hospitalised or have an allergic reaction. There's a little bit of a crossover with the wrong product. So wrong product received on a logistics complaint would be when it's received into a warehouse and it's identified the wrong product was received when delivered. But on an adverse event, this could be the wrong product was consumed by the patient, which could then have a serious impact on their health due to the nature of our products. So looking at the information we require on these kinds of complaints, so it's important we get as much information at the start so that we can investigate as quickly and effectively as possible. So for a quality complaint, we would want to know the product, the batch number, and the best before date specifically that the customer is complaining about. And then the timestamp, which I'll show on the next slide, where that information is found. Details of the complaint, particularly in sensory, we want to know what exactly is different. So it's a different, sometimes we get patients saying, oh, it tastes funny, but what is this funny taste? It can be harder to investigate if we don't have the exact information about if it's a stronger flavour of something in particular. How many products were affected? So was it the whole order or was it just one can or one sachet? If you can get the product returned so that we can do investigation and sampling from that. And if not, pictures help as well, or pictures in advance of receiving the product so we can start getting the investigation. And where it happened in the market and the customer. Then looking at logistics, so where did it occur in transit? any pictures of the damages, or you can see their dented cans to help us understand what exactly is being found and the quantity affected. It's important for logistics complaints that on the goods receipt and the inspection of them when received, that any issues found on those goods in inspections are raised to us within 72 hours. It helps us investigate with any transport providers to work out where it happened, and if it's past that 72 hours, sometimes the ownership can change of, well, the transport providers don't think it's happened because it wasn't raised soon enough with them. So as soon as you get that information, it's really useful that it's raised to us. And then for adverse events, it's the same as what information we need for a quality complaint, but we'd also need further information about the age of the patient, the specific medical conditions, the symptoms they had and the timing of the symptoms, and how long after taking the product if they became ill. Our customer account managers for you would be able to help find out that information, as they have forms that'll help guide you on that, because I realise this is a brief summary of it. As mentioned before, this just gives a visual of where you'd find information on the can. So the top line would be the production date, and then to the right you get the timestamp of when it was produced, which helps us understand whereabouts in that production that can was filled. Below that is the expiry date, and then underneath is the batch number. And then just to go through the process, so when you initially take all the details from the customer, if you raise that straight away with as much information as you have to your customer account manager, they will log that through our system, which will then trigger the right department to investigate. So we will then investigate that with suppliers or manufacturers and any subject matter experts to get as much information and investigation as possible. We'll then identify any root causes that may have been a problem from our point of view of what we can change to improve, and we'll put in place preventative actions to prevent that happening again. For any quality and adverse events, we will respond with letter back to you so you can inform the customer of that outcome, so they've got a full loop of that. And Norman's just going to go through some examples of previous complaints that we've had and what we've done about it.
Good afternoon. My name is Norm Kutz. I'm quality assurance expert here in Rosbach and work here since 2006. Here are two examples of previous complaints which we had here in Rosbach. Here you can see two cans from the same product. One product is with white powder is 6 months old, and the other product with slightly yellowish powder is 1 year old. And that's a slight change in the color from the white powder to the yellowish powder is possible to occur on our products a few months after the production. This change does not pose any risk to the quality and safety of our products. This change is, in color is caused by an uncritical interaction of our raw materials within the products, and it's depending on natural variability in the raw materials. It can occur different degrees of color changes. Then the next slide, please. Here's an example, for the coding. Here we had a problem with our coding printer. The first line was compressed. We solved this problem. The printer head was a defect, and we replaced it. And we make some training with the operators that they are aware of this problem, and that they continuous review this coding when the operators put the cans in the carton. And also we make additional checks by the quality assurance. So we hope to solve this in the future. So. that is all. And so I think we go on with legal.
Thank you, Norman. So, hi everybody, my name's Chris Duffy. I joined Vitaflo last week as legal counsel. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the key concepts of the distribution agreement. So most of you have signed new distribution agreements in accordance with the Nestle standard template that you'll be hopefully all be familiar with. This is different to the former agreements in use when Dr. Schwer owned the Mavelia and the Comedimed brands. The template refers to a number of standard Nestle or Vitaflo documents, including the supplier code and various mandatory policies, which are incorporated into its terms. Most of these terms set out the values and ethics that apply in all of Nestle's business dealings. So in this session, we will take a high-level look at the requirements contained in those documents and how you can make sure that you are compliant. And we will also signpost you taking control. Yeah, so apologies, somebody just took control. So yeah, we'll spend a bit of time highlighting the main requirements of each one before going on to look at how we protect trademarks in your territory and your responsibilities when it comes to personal data. So just bear with me. So slide identifies the 4 mandatory policies that apply to distributors, which are Vitaflo's business integrity policy, which is formerly known as the anti-bribery policy, Vitaflo's data privacy policy, the modern slavery policy, and the Nestle supplier code. We'll spend a bit of time highlighting the main requirements of each one before going on to look at how we protect trademarks in your territory and your responsibility when it comes to personal data. Okay, so Vitaflo's business integrity policy sets out the framework within which we conduct all of our dealings, and specifically states that Vitaflo takes a zero tolerance approach to bribery and corruption and is committed to acting with integrity in all business dealing and relationships wherever we operate. Turning specifically to the approach to bribery, this is also a matter of compliance with the law. The UK Bribery Act has extraterritorial effect and could potentially capture Vitaflo's activities anywhere in the world where undertaken by an associated person. Pharmaceutical and healthcare companies face considerable scrutiny over the hospitality and sponsorship that may provide to healthcare professionals or their employing organisations. At Vitaflo, anyone providing hospitality to a healthcare professional, whether by paying travel or accommodation expenses, or by providing drinks or meals, is expected to do so with complete transparency. All of these arrangements must be documented in writing and signed on behalf of Vitaflo by an authorised signatory. Where you are carrying out hospitality or other promotional activities involving healthcare professionals in conjunction with Vitaflo, Vitaflo's legal team can help you by providing suitable templates for use in most common interactions with healthcare professionals. So moving on, the Nestle supplier code. This is a document which sets out certain minimum non-negotiable obligations, including compliance with applicable laws, sustainability of operations, and basic labour standards that apply to every person that we do business with. For example, regarding working hours, child or forced labour, compensation, and non-discrimination. There are also requirements relating to the provision of safe working conditions and health and safety. In addition, suppliers and other partners are required to operate with respect for the environment. You can find a copy of the code on Nestlé's website. Vitaflo's modern slavery policy contains similar provisions, but is bespoke to the Vitaflo business and supply chain. You can find this policy on Vitaflo's website. It contains a commitment to full transparency in all Vitaflo supply chains and to ensuring that there is no modern slavery or human trafficking in any part of the Vitaflo business. The statement was updated following the acquisition of the Dr. Sher business because Vitaflo assumed responsibility for additional co-manufacturers. All the Vitaflo supply chain and the elements of it that were inherited from Dr. Sher does not present a serious risk of modern slavery. It is a legal requirement to publish a statement and to review it each year, and all distributors and other suppliers are asked to adhere to its principles. So if you become aware of any breach or potential breach of this policy, please notify legal immediately. We will look at the data privacy policy in the final part of this presentation, but in the meantime, we're going to look at the provisions in your agreement relating to trademarks. So the company with the Nestlé Group, which owns all of the IPR, so that's the intellectual property rights, including all registered trademarks and goodwill, is Société de Produits Nestlé, or SPN for short. SPN licenses relevant IPR to Vitaflo, including all of the registered trademarks relating to the Vitaflo brand and Vitaflo products in each market in which we operate. Vitaflo then grants a further license of the trademarks which are registered in each particular territory to the distributor in that market under the trademark provisions of your distribution agreements. You can find the registered trademarks in your market in one of the schedules to your distribution agreement. There are certain conditions attached to the use of the Vitaflo trademarks by a distributor. Typically, these include a requirement to obtain Vitaflo's approval to certain uses of the trademarks, for example, where the trademarks appear alongside a distributor's branding. In these circumstances, it is important not to cause confusion between Vitaflo and its distributors, so words such as in association with Vitaflo should be used. Distributors should not use the word Vitaflo or any other trademark as part of a domain name or company name, even if the resource is used for the resale of Vitaflo products. Each of Vitaflo and the distributor must report to the other if either becomes aware of any infringement of the other's trademarks. And finally, under trademarks, if you intend to use the Vitaflo trademarks on your own marketing materials, the suffixes R, as you can see there, and TM should be used consistently and correctly. So the key to differentiating which one to use is to identify its registered status. So R, the suffix R, should only be used in conjunction with registered trademarks, and they must be registered in the country or countries where you intend to apply the registered trademark, i.e. a foreign registered trademark is not sufficient. Trade TM should only be used where the trademark or brand is unregistered and being used in a trademark sense, or in other words, where some goodwill or similar right is considered to subsist in it, which may include whilst the formal trademark application has been submitted. So if at any time you're in any doubt over how best to use the R or TM symbols, please speak to any member of the legal department. Finally, we're going to look at the data privacy policy. This is a Vitaflo specific policy but it is based on the Nestle privacy principles, which include ensuring that privacy is embedded throughout our business operations, i.e. privacy by design, ensuring that all data is processed lawfully, fairly, and in a transparent manner. As a general rule, data should only be used for a specific purpose which is being communicated to the data subject. Ensuring that personal data is managed correctly, for example, by ensuring that it is only used for the relevant purpose and is not retained any longer than necessary. Maintaining adequate security measures to ensure that personal data is protected against unauthorized processing, theft, or misuse. So those principles, a lot of you will be familiar with those principles which are enshrined in legislation. So the reason that Vitaflo requires a specific privacy policy, i.e. it simply doesn't rely on Nestle's own policy, is because of the nature of our products means that we process personal data of patients, which constitute special category data. So special category data is entitled to additional protections because of its sensitive nature, and it is implicit in many of our communications with patients that they have particular disease conditions. This type of data should therefore be treated with caution because it is high risk from a data privacy perspective. In particular, we must always have an explicit and unequivocal consent to any processing of that data and the other obligations, for example, around security and housekeeping generally, which we should treat as high priority. Obtain a copy of the data privacy policy from the legal team if you do not have one already, and training on this issue is also available. Hopefully, this short presentation has given you some insight into the structure and content of the policies which apply under your distribution agreement. The legal team is happy to answer any queries you may have about the issues raised in today's session or other questions on your distribution agreement. So do please feel free to contact any of us directly. You can see our details there. That's Kate, myself, Susie, or Katie, and the email addresses are displayed underneath. So finally, it remains to thank you for your time today, and I will now pass you back to Lee. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Particularly as you've only been with us a week, so this is all new to you as well. Okay, so we've covered a lot today. I just want to take you back to earlier in the day where we explained a lot of changes that were going to happen to the IEM range. We've just got a quick summary video that we want to share before we cover the last few bits for today's session. Okay, just before I hand over to Pablo and Nikki to close today, just to let you know what's going to happen next. So you will receive a link to view all these sessions so you can come back and review the information. That's going to be with you over the coming days. All your questions you've submitted will be answered. So we make sure that everyone, even those who couldn't join the call today, has a response to the queries that were raised. There's a couple of things we want from you in relation to this meeting. So we're going to share an evaluation form just to get a bit of feedback on the information we've shared today and to see whether similar meetings going forward you would find useful. So please fill those out and send them back and be honest. And finally, just Ria mentioned this when she spoke earlier, we are really keen to get some more feedback from you to ensure the toolkits we provide are actually going to be of use and can really help you drive the sales in market. So we're going to provide just a template to complete to get some information on the specifics of your in-market environment so we can help action those points and just really support you and provide things which are going to be useful. That's it from me. I'm going to hand over to Nikki and Pablo.
Thank you, Lee. Okay, so I don't know at this point if everyone wants to put on their cameras if they're comfortable to do so. Just as we close this, we will get a group picture if that's okay. So obviously you're opening your camera knowing that there'll be a group photo.
Carlos, are you driving or?
No, actually I'm into a back seat. I'm not the driver, don't worry.
Okay.
I'm in a safe position here. Anyway, it was very good. And it's great to see all our colleagues here. Kajavandi, for instance, a long time I didn't see. Alex as well, and all the others. So congrats for the meeting.
Okay. So Pablo, do you want to go first or?
Don't please, go ahead.
No. Okay, so I just wanted to start by just saying a few thank yous. So firstly, thank you to Lee for organising and coordinating today's event. I'm sure you'll agree there was obviously a lot of content. This won't actually be the level of content we expect in future years, but because it's our first one with you guys, we wanted to share as much as possible with you. Secondly, I'd like to thank everyone who's presented or contributed to the presentations. We really appreciate your input and sharing the knowledge with our distributors as well. Thirdly, just thank everyone who's been involved in the Comida acquisition. Obviously, it's been a challenging journey. We have had our ups and downs, but hopefully, as you can see, as we come together, we are making traction and sales are increasing significantly. So thank you. And finally, from me, just a big thank you to all the distributors and agents for your time today. Obviously listening to everything we've said. I know there has been a lot there. Please, as Lee has mentioned and Ria mentioned, feedback to us, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you would like to see more of. And we'll make sure that we capture that and build that on in future. Okay, that's it from me. So Pablo, I'll hand to you.
Yeah, so I think I echo what Nikki said, but thank you guys very much for all your time. I know that for the guys in Latam, it's early morning or getting to lunchtime, but it's hard for the Middle East and even so for the guys in Asia. So I really appreciate your time. Thanks, Alexander and the NAMEC team for also joining us and sharing a bit of their experience with us. I think there are a lot of things going on. I try to open kind of our doors and share all the updates. We saw a question from Daniela, from Farah, Alexandra. So definitely we will get back to you. In the meantime, if you digest and see the presentation and again the meeting and you have further questions, definitely we are extremely open to get all the questions, get feedback, whether we can improve things, whether we can think even better. I think here we are here to make things even bigger. So I think that's ultimately our ambition. And there are a lot of things going on. So I'm very optimistic about 2023, and I think more to what we can do in 2024. So with that, thank you absolutely all the team in Vitaflo who presented and allocated time. And again, back to you, to all the distributors that probably, yeah, definitely we spend a few hours here. Next one, hopefully we can see each other face to face all together. Maybe it's a dream and we're asking too much, but you never know. I think this virtual meeting works very well, but it will be great to interact face to face, and hopefully we can see each other face to face very shortly in the different markets. So with that, I think unfortunately Caroline is it's been in this meeting in Germany, so but at least we had kind of an introduction for her, but definitely she sends all the regards and definitely all the pressure to deliver more in the coming month. So with that, thank you very much for to everyone. Great to see you, and definitely we keep in touch.
Thanks a lot.
you.
Bye-bye. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Carlos. Bye,
Bye.
Alex.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Merhat.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, Gary.
Bye bye. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome. Bye, Daniela.
Ciao, Daniela.
Bye bye.
Bye bye, Pablo, Nikki.
Bye,
Wellington.
Wellington.
Bye. Bye, Marcos.